Hello and welcome to the Zest. I'm your host, Lindsay Smith, bringing you the best of health, home decor, and lifestyle. We have an amazing and exciting show for you today. We're going to not only taste delicious gluten-free foods, but we're also going to explore the teachings of one of my personal heroes, Mr. Rogers, and we're going to learn how to find hope in the face of addiction recovery. But up first, I want to introduce you to some delicious gluten-free foods. We have Jeanette Harris here. She's the owner of the Gluten Free Goat Bakery and Cafe, which will be opening their brick and mortar store in Garfield this upcoming fall. And the Gluten Free Goat currently delivers gluten-free, vegan, and soy-free, I didn't even know that, baked goods to over 15 shops in the Pittsburgh area twice a week. And with the opening of their new shop, they'll be including brunch in addition to their other amazing menu options. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to be here. I love your food. The
Awesome.
first time I had it, I had one of your brownies, and I was just,
They're my favorite too.
I was like, this is the best thing that I've ever had in my life.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's so good.
I'm turning red. I'm flattered.
I would do yoga, and then I would go and get a brownie. That was
That's a good reward.
Yeah, it was a good balance system I had going on. So tell us a little bit, how did you even get started with the Gluten Free Goat, and what made you decide? I'm always amazed by that. Like, what made you decide one day, I'm going to start selling vegan gluten-free donuts?
Yeah, that is a good question. Well, for me, it was kind of a personal passion because I found out I had celiac disease about 10 years ago, which is an autoimmune disease. And you have to eat gluten-free as well as avoid some other things, but the main thing is gluten. And I always loved to bake and cook. And after a while, I just thought, well, people seem to really like my stuff, and maybe it's time for me to take the plunge, and I just went for it.
That's awesome. And so you've expanded your line. You started with donuts, cookies, and the brownie, is that right? And
yeah, right now we do strictly wholesale,
Okay.
all different flavors of donuts and some cookies and brownies. And like you had said before, I'm really excited. We're going to have brunch all week at our new cafe in Garfield, which is set to open the end of fall.
Awesome, yay, I'm so excited. So tell us the difference, I guess, some people don't know about gluten-free, kind of what's the difference between maybe a gluten sensitivity and celiac disease? I know there's differences in that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of confusion because it's kind of part of pop culture right now to go gluten-free.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the grocery stores have entire gluten-free sections, which is great, I'm sure, for people.
Right, yeah, it's nice to have options, but because it's trendy, people are a little misinformed about what it is. So what I have, like I said, is an autoimmune disease. It's a little bit more severe, and I have to not have any cross-contamination, so when I go out to eat, I have to be very careful. But there are people who have gluten sensitivities or gluten intolerances, and it still can be very painful, very tough, but you can maybe get French fries from a fryer that had something else in it. And again, symptoms vary from person to person. And then there's people that choose to eat gluten-free because maybe it helps them with some other health issue or they feel better. For example, my mom has arthritis. She eats gluten-free and it's very anti-inflammatory to take that out, and it helps her a lot.
But you just have to make sure that you're eating whole foods as well, because I think that
Exactly.
I go in the grocery store and there's all this gluten-free stuff, and I'm like, a lot of it is crap. It's not good for you.
Yeah, gluten-free does not mean healthy. A lot of people feel that that is the definition, but right now, because there's a lot of bigger corporations that are making gluten-free mixes, they just use a lot of fillers. It's a lot of sugar, a lot of white rice flour, and that's okay to have in moderation, but really, like you said, our diet should be mostly whole foods.
And you're going to make us a whole food, yummy, delicious meal today, correct?
Yeah, I'm making a really nice summer salad since it's still pretty hot outside. I thought I could use some cabbage since it's seasonal. And we're going to make a vegan Waldorf salad, a Waldorf style salad. I was inspired by, I was reading Plenty More the other day, one of my favorite cookbooks, and I sort of took a spin on their version of it.
And isn't there a Waldorf salad in a famous fiction?
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to think. I know that I forget what it is. I'll have to remember. Maybe it was like the American Girl dolls or something.
Oh,
or something like that, where all they talked about was the Waldorf salad. So I'm excited to make it. So what do we start with here?
So we start, again, with a bunch of whole foods, which is great to start out. Things you can find at any grocery store. Cabbage, the main ingredient. Then we have some green onions, celery, carrots, and then I made the dressing with some shallots, which I love. And then to give it a little nice tart, crisp flavor, we use the Granny Smith apple.
Awesome. So we're going to start with the cabbage.
Yeah, and so what you want to do is basically all these ingredients are going to be shredded or grated.
Okay.
So you start with the cabbage.
Now, can you do that in a food processor or with a hand grater? How do you suggest?
Well, you could do either way. I think if you have like a mandolin or a hand, I just did everything by hand because it was a small salad.
Yeah.
But if you have like a Roku or something and you're fancy, then you should do it that way.
I know. I was grating carrots the other day to make carrot cake, like carrot cupcakes. And I was like, oh my goodness, there has to be a better way.
It's so much work. It really is. Because I do a grain-free carrot cupcake as well as part of my menu, and it's always a lot of work.
Yeah, but worth it.
Yes,
worth it.
Totally worth it.
All right, so grating these veggies, correct? So the cabbage.
Yeah, you grate the cabbage and the carrots as well.
Okay, so here we have the carrots already nicely, and then we add this?
Yeah, and here are the apples, carrots, celery, and the dried cherries, which are really important to have that nice like texture and flavor as well. And you just toss everything together.
Okay, let's see, I think we can toss this in here. This is great too because it's nice and colorful, which I like. So, and I think it's probably very crispy and
yeah, I try to get all those flavors and textures into every dish. I like sweet and savory, I like soft and crunchy.
Yeah, I like when dishes have sweet and savory elements because I feel like complete.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like, okay, this is a really,
yeah.
All right, so we'll mix that. All right, what next here?
Next we're gonna add in these green onions as well. Luckily this recipe is very easy because all you do is just toss it together. The prep is the most work, and then once you finish that. And then very last, I saved this for last, you wanna chop up some walnuts. You can do quite a few different nuts. You can do hazelnuts or pine nuts, whatever you like.
I feel like something like this too, it could kind of be what you have on hand.
Yeah.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but you could probably, if you didn't have dried cherries, you could do raisins. If you didn't have walnuts, you could do a different type of nut. If you didn't, maybe even do pears.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Pears would be great, especially ones that are just like a little bit underripe, so they're nice and crispy.
Whatever's at my
yeah,
whatever's at my house, basically.
Yeah, you could do cranberries instead of the cherries too. That's a good option. So next, we're gonna add these walnuts in.
Okay.
And the important part is the fresh herbs too. We have some fresh dill over here that we're gonna chop up as well. Whoops, making a mess. There we go.
Awesome. Sweet, crunchy, delicious.
And it's kind of a full meal as well because with the nuts, they're like hearty and they give you the nice like good fats and a little bit of protein.
And if you eat meat, you could add, you know, you could have this as a side.
Oh,
you could have salmon or chicken.
Oh yeah, it would go great with any poultry or fish as well.
All right, and then the dressing here, I know you're doing that. The dressing is a mixture of, is it honey mustard, rice vinegar, mayo?
Yeah.
Salt, pepper?
Yeah, and you can use any sort of mustard you like. I have Dijon there to give it a little bit sweet. I also use stone ground often for this recipe. And again, the recipe for the dressing is very easy too. You chop up some shallots, dice them up, throw them in the food processor with the mayo and a little bit of rice vinegar and mustard.
Awesome.
And I made that ahead of time so that we didn't have that loud noise in the middle of her. All right, so put a bunch of dill in here as well.
Awesome. And I'll go ahead and add, so this is the dressing, correct?
Yes,
and you can just
the whole thing, go for it,
smells good. I'm not a huge mayo person, so when I saw that, I got a little anxious, but it smells delicious, so I think we'll be,
I do light dressing too. I don't like heavy dressing. Oh, and I actually use vegan mayo in this, which is one of my favorite products, Just Mayo. They just use pea protein to make it thicker for you, which is really, really nice. So if you
could probably use avocado as well.
Absolutely. You could do creamy avocado. That would work very well.
And that way, if you don't like mayo or, for me, it's just something about the consistency of mayo specifically, but because I know avocado is just an avocado, I'm like, okay, I know what it is.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I have a lot of friends that don't like mayo. It's one of those things. And then again, if you're allergic to like eggs or dairy too, whether you're vegan or allergic, it's nice to have options like avocado or vegan mayo. So, all right.
Awesome. And this looks delicious, fabulous, and you could serve it up at a party, serve it as a side, your main entree.
Absolutely, yeah, it's just nice, fresh, and crunchy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us today. We have the recipe available for you all, and you can find out more about the Gluten Free Goat online and on Instagram at Gluten Free Goat. Stay tuned as we have more coming up next on the Zest.